Well, that makes sense. I mean, that's kind of like the story of Gears of War, but
Yeah.
they sort of get forced into it. Like the locusts, the humans have been fighting each other for like hundreds of years, and they don't get along. They're always fighting, and then the locusts, they have like Emergence Day, and it just throws everything into a spin because the locusts are just killing everyone. So it forces the humans to come together to fight the locust, and that's what unites humanity. It's a very similar
very
story,
similar,
right?
very similar concept. It's a really like it's quite common in our storytelling. Yeah, but that was actually a proper idea that the U.S. government had, was to try to get the Russians to agree that they can fake an alien invasion to get, everyone to stop the Red Scare and stop the animosity between people.
I think
That was
it'd
an
be
actual
hard.
idea.
It'd be hard to get the Russians to buy into something like that.
Mm.
And I just wanted to say, on top of your topic there about using AI to scare people with like COVID, blah blah blah. Man, it's hard to say whether they didn't just already have this AI technology before that, anyways, right? Like it doesn't just essentially go from turning it on overnight to being what it is.
Correct,
Surely,
yeah.
right?
Also, you always got to assume that the military has had this at least for 10 to 20 years. That's usually the case. They're about 10 to 20 years ahead of the tech that we have. It's military concepts, military use, and then it leaks out into the public sector. So who knows what the government's been able to do for the last 20 years.
Yeah, it's really interesting to me because you say about that when we used to see those pictures coming out of China and stuff where people are on the streets. Where did all that shit come from? Where did all these photos come from? What happened with that? Like, did everyone just forget about that?
Because
I remember seeing it and I was like, fuck, are people actually dead on the streets here? Like, this
Yeah.
might be worse than I thought. But but where did those who gathered those images? Someone had to get the images to put it in these reports. Where did that come from?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think images, if they can make video, like rendering video within seconds using AI, photos are so easy in comparison, man.
Easy.
So easy in comparison. But the reason I was going to say that the Dragon Ball Z AI thing, the thought I had with that was, what happens when each person is watching completely individual content? When there's no conformity, there's no unification on the content we watch. Right, so you have what your tastes are, what your preferences are. You can tell the AI that generates content for you exactly what you like to watch, and done. No one else will ever see the thing that you just saw because it's completely tailor-made for you. What happens to our culture after that?
Dude, you know what's crazy is what happens when you can ask AI to generate you the type of porn that you want to see.
Yeah.
Exactly what you want. What happens to OnlyFans content creators? What happens to the porn industry?
Yeah, it's gone.
It's
gone.
Well, it not gone, but it evolves, right?
Yeah.
It evolves into this crazy. It's gonna get unhinged. People watch some unhinged shit now. Wait until you can get AI to turn whatever you want in your fucked up fantasies into reality, and you can visually watch it.
And it's actually so wild that as soon as we step in, and I'll remind you that I wanted us initially to call this poddy Casting from the Pod for the very reason that I saw this some two and a bit years ago. I'm like, there's only one direction this goes into. There's only one direction. It is, do you want to be plugged in or not? That is it. With Neuralink and all the rest, and the fact that we know we can generate reality now, you can be put into a scenario where you are still in base reality. You are still here. But you can imagine yourself being whatever you want, wherever you want, however you want, with whoever you want, all the time. I don't think there's many people who would choose base reality besides like the Amish. I don't know why you would. You could be anything you want. It would be as real as real.
Nah, because you think about what we were talking about there about longing for like that Roman experience.
What if you could get it?
You could get, well, yeah, you could
put yourself in Rome.
You could live in that Roman experience, I guess.
Yeah. It's really, it's closer than it's ever been before. And I can only see it going in that direction. The problem is, it's like, will it be utopian or not? Will it actually be a good thing or not? And I don't know what the answer to that is. Like, is it better to have people fight in base reality to get the things that they want? Or if you don't want to expend as many resources and burn the planet to death, just have them think they've already got the thing that they want. Is there much of a difference between what type of reality you're interacting with? False reality or real reality? What's the difference? It's a philosophical question that most people can't even begin to grapple with. If you are convinced, if all the right neurons in your brain have been prodded to make you think that you've got everything you've ever wanted, why would that make you less happy than if you had it in real life?
I don't know. That's a good question. There's not really, because you really believe that it's happening, right?
Yeah.
But I guess that's working off of the principle that you're locked into that forever and you'll never know. It's really crazy that the Matrix, when you think about the movie itself, it almost was predicting the future. It's very strange and eerie how much it's going down that direction.
The only thing I don't like about the Matrix, and it's really unfortunate that it was like a late change that they made, that it wasn't the original concept wasn't that they used us as batteries, is that they're using our brains as like RAM, as memory, as storage to run the Matrix. That makes so much more sense because we have so many cells and neurons. Like that actually makes sense. If you've got billions of people, use them for computing power. That I wish they didn't change that. They changed that for Hollywood because they thought people wouldn't be able to follow it or understand it. It was a late change that they made. I'll make it batteries. Batteries makes no sense. You can use any other way to make energy easier than keeping those humans alive. But using the actual computing power of human brains all plugged in to run the Matrix makes way more sense. Because the processing power is insane that way.
Dude, that's actually crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was
The original
the
idea.
original story.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
It's,
That's
it's a small change, but it annoyed me because I'm like, fuck, like, if they just kept it that, then that is so on the money, man. It's so on the money. Because we're struggling right now to make enough chips to run just the AI that we have. There's a argument you can make that it's almost impossible to ever have enough computing power to generate reality itself. But if you had 7 billion evolved brains to do it, maybe that's enough then. Because our brains are incredible processors, because we already process reality as it is. Your eyes generate information and your brain processes it into the reality that you experience. That makes sense. You could use that to generate the Matrix then, because your brain's already doing it. It's generating reality every single day through your senses, your touch, feel, all those things. Your brain processes that into, I am Louis, I'm walking around, I'm having this experience. You could use that same brain, plug it into the Matrix, and you would be in the Matrix thinking it's the same thing happening.
Yeah, what makes you think that that's not happening now? Statistically, it's probably the most likely thing.
Yeah.
Well. Most likely this is just all fake. This is all just in our heads.
I'd say so. The only thing that makes me think it's not is that if you could render us into a Matrix where anything could happen, why would you process and render us into one where we're already suspicious it might be happening? It just seems like a flaw. Put us in a different generation. Put us into the 90s. In the 90s, it was like, that would never happen. It's so unbelievable. Like, why let your procedurally generated reality feel like it's catching up to the Matrix? That's what makes me think we're not there yet. Because I'm suspicious we're going to get there. But if you put me in a system and you didn't want me to know I was in a system, why put me in a reality where all I can see is us heading towards the system? It's almost like an unnecessary flaw. Right? Put me in that 70s or 60s or 70s. No one possibly thought this would happen. It was a 1 in a million thought the Matrix was possible. Now, most people will tell you, yeah, it's going to happen. Look at what we're doing. I can see it happening a bit already. I'm already looking at my phone, thinking I'm seeing the world when I'm not. Like, we're already conditioned a bit to believe it. VR headsets and all this. You're like, okay, yeah, I can see it. That's the only thing that makes me think we might not be there yet. Because I can see it happening. And I feel like if I was in the Matrix, I wouldn't be suspecting we're about to enter it. It's a flaw. It's a design flaw almost. You can make me in any generation, in any time in the world, you could put me into. Why put me into one where I'm already suspecting I'm about to be put into a Matrix?
Well, that would just be the natural progression, though.
Yeah, but you could keep recycling the same decade, right? The same generation, the same. You could recycle the 1910s ad nauseum, infinitely, if you wanted.
Yeah, but why would you do that?
Well, if you're the computer and you don't want people to become aware, put them into a scenario where they're so far away from computers being powerful that they're never suspicious in the first place.
But we are pretty far away. Like we couldn't.
I'm fucking terrified of these computers, man.
We couldn't simulate an entire world right now.
Well, one thing I love about this idea that we're in a simulation. I don't know if you know much about it, but like, you know how they think there's a edge to the observable universe.
Yeah.
I think that's a procedural generation problem. You know, in a video game, when you like enter a different area or look to a different thing, you know what's happening in the video game. Your PlayStation or your computer, it's rendering the thing that you're looking at. You play a Resident Evil game, you go through a door, it will render the next room for you as you go to step into it. So the idea is to save procedural power. None of the universe exists unless a conscious observer looks at it. Because once you look at it, then it needs to make it happen.
That's like the wave theory, right?